Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WVAP. I am your host, James Parker. Something's been bothering me since the first second that this ICE shooting happened. And I'm going to play a little chunk of audio, and you see if this also kind of ruffles your feathers or excites your antenna. This is a local NBC affiliate out of Iowa.
37-year-old Renee Nicole Macklin Good was a U.S. citizen born in Colorado and a mother of three. In social media accounts, she described herself as a poet, writer, wife, and mom. Hours after the shooting, hundreds gathered for a protest and vigil nearby. Trump administration officials painted Macklin Good as a domestic terrorist who had attempted to ram federal officials with her vehicle.
All right, we can stop it right there. So they start off, first thing they tell you, she's a citizen. Because whenever you hear about ICE shooting someone, you have a tendency not to care much because it's like, well, they shouldn't have been here. No, she's a citizen. She's from Colorado. She's a wife, a mother, and according to her Facebook page, a poet and a writer. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? You're telling me two of her hobbies? Is that her job? And then they said hundreds gathered for her vigil. Oh, so the whole world. And, you know, in Iowa, getting 100 people to go anywhere besides a football game is probably a pretty rare event. Wow, hundreds of people already have fallen in love with her and are supporting her cause. And so it is only then, after a heavy dose, a triple dose right there of propaganda, do they tell you what Trump said about it or what the facts are around the case. But I want to focus on one thing because you may think that doesn't bother me. It really is everything. She's a poet. First, who the hell's occupation is a poet? Is anybody a poet? There's like Shel Silverstein and Maya Angelou, and you don't know another one that's still alive, do you? You don't have any friends that are poets? For 99.9% of the people who do dabble in poetry, it's not their job. So if you are a poet or if she was a paid poet, I may be proven wrong. But it's pretty safe to say that's probably not her job. And that's what you're described at in the news. If I got pulled over for a DWI tomorrow on the news, you'd hear, oh, a local talk radio host pulled over for DWI, swerving on the LBJ. Right? It's included in everything. Well, there's a local dentist accused of rape. Football star gets in a fight at the Zha Zha Hotel. Right? But in this one, we don't get to know her occupation. Does she not have an occupation? Or is her occupation harassing ICE agents? And if we told you the truth about who she really was, that might not help our narrative there. But look, this is like the Abrego Garcia dude last year. Remember the El Salvadorian guy being called a Maryland father? Really? Maryland father? I mean, look, it's technically correct, but the whole point of reporting and journalism is word economy. How much information can you fit into this 8 seconds worth of talking that you have, or these 12 words? Calling her a poet is an absolute waste of that. You could call her a political activist. That wouldn't have helped the narrative. You could have called her an agitator. Wouldn't have helped the narrative. But just like Abrego Garcia was a Maryland father instead of a human trafficking Tren de Aragua member or whatever gang member he was in. Sometimes they tell you this the guy's job because it does pertain to the story. Sometimes they tell you the hobby because it pertains to the story. A local woodworker starts fire. Does poetry have anything to do with this story? Think about it, because you hear this in the news all the time. Joe the plumber, the Cinnabon worker, Officer Richardson. So what's her job? Why do they leave it out? What if her job really was to harass ICE officers? I don't know if it was. But really, I'm not sure if it's better or worse that this was her paid job or if this was her hobby that she felt so strongly about. She did it even without compensation. All right. I think I can explain why this is a big deal to everyone who's a parent, at least. If you're a lady, put on your mom hat. If you're a dude, put on your dad hat. Put yourself in her situation. You have a 6-year-old whose dad dies. You're the only thing she has left in the world. She is depending solely on you. This is what you do with your life? This is your chosen profession? Or your chosen evil little hobby? Yes, I'm going to harass law enforcement officers enforcing the laws as they're written. But does Renee Good's poetry hobby have anything to do with the story? Of course not, but it paints her as a likable, sympathetic figure. Is that her only hobby? Does she have other hobbies? Or is that just the one that shines a pretty little light on her? Why not mention her political activism? Why not mention that she was part of groups that made it their business to go harass ICE on a regular basis? That kind of fits in with the story, don't you think? It's very relevant to the story. So you just go straight to poetry. Skip over all that. Go straight to poetry. Now here's the other part, and this, I'm not trying to tug at your heartstrings or whatever, but this is just how I feel as a dad. Imagine that kid. There's a 6-year-old kid last week who was sitting at school while all this was going on, like any other day, not knowing her mom and her partner were out there playing street hero games on behalf of criminals, of all people. Tracking them down, harassing them all day, following them around town, blocking the street, calling them fat, recording them, mocking them, not listening to them. Wait until you get up to your car, and then you try and pull away. Ah, gotcha, suckers. They're playing a very dangerous game. But these are the two adults responsible for that 6-year-old girl that was sitting in class when this was happening in the middle of a work week. And this mom, I don't know what was in her heart. I don't know what was in her head, but she wasn't thinking about her kids when she was doing this. She wasn't thinking, well, what if I get arrested? Who's going to pick my babies up? What if I get hurt? Who's going to raise them? What if I die? They have nobody. What was first on her mind? Protecting criminals. Interfering with law enforcement officers. She thought about the camera. She thought about the crowd. Her wife, get out, go film this. We'll be famous. People will think good of us. This will look good for us. This will be awesome. She thought about the moment. She thought she was doing what heroes do. But there is no amount of evidence, money, tears on TV. There's no new spin that can make that make sense as a parent. As a father, nothing about that action makes sense. Because at a minimum, her actions could get her arrested. That's the least amount of trouble she could get into. She still chose it. She chose the chaos. She chose lawlessness. She chose to advocate for criminal strangers over her own child. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. You go back 20, 30 years, Democrats didn't believe this. She got talked into believing this. She was trained to believe this. She was coerced. She was propagandized. And the people who talked her into it deserve quite a bit of blame, but they're not going to get it, are they? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Oh, we'll do a couple flashback clips of audio next. You'll hear Obama and Clinton from 20 and 30 years ago saying things that today would get you called fascist. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, Garrett brought the flux capacitor today, so we're going to go back in time. Kimberly's driving the DeLorean. We go back to the Obama administration. And this is solely to put a bunch of things in context that I'm going to play after this for about the next hour here, but I've got to get this out of the way now. Barack Obama was down with deportations. And when he did it, he said, yeah, everyone agrees on deportations, right? This is from when he was president. Just, God, how long ago is that now? 10 years ago? 15 years ago? This cuts from 14 years ago. Or, I'm sorry, 16 years ago.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
Now, remember, he was deporting 5 million people in the middle of this. Over 1,000 a day was his pace. Renee Good block any ICE vehicles then? Any protests? Did Jake Tapper or anybody else say this is what the Gestapo is, Nazis? Or did they all agree with him that this is the most normal thing in the world? That the very important part of that is not only that he's doing it, deportations, ramping them up, separating families. He even said it's the most normal. So everyone's agreed on this for the last 50 years. Well, here we are like 16 years later. So last 66, I don't know, maybe 67 years. I did the thing. Look. No, it's the most normal thing in the world. Now it's Gestapo. Now I don't even know what country I'm living in. I'll play Mark Ruffalo in a bit for that one. But again, this was Obama. He did an interview with Telemundo. Now, he doesn't speak Spanish, so the whole thing's in English. But this is where he specifically talked about splitting up families.
Last time we spoke, you said that you weren't king, you were president. There were only certain things you could do unilaterally. As time goes on, 1,000 deportations on average a day. People are wondering, and our Twitter feeds and Facebook feeds, that's the question everybody asks. Won't you at least consider unilaterally freezing deportations for the parents of deferred action kids?
Yeah. Here's the problem that I have.
By the way, they say deferred action kids. The average age of a DACA recipient was about 29 or 30, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on the year. So when we're talking about the parents of DACA recipients, we're talking about people in their 50s, 60s.
Jose, and I've said this consistently. My job in the executive branch is supposed to be to carry out the laws that are passed. Congress has said, here's the law when it comes to those who are undocumented, and they allocate a whole bunch of money for enforcement. And what I have been able to do is to make a legal argument that I think is absolutely right, which is that given the resources we have, we can't do everything that Congress has asked us to do. What we can do is then carve out the DREAM Act folks, saying young people who have basically grown up here are Americans that we should welcome. We're not going to have them operate under a cloud, under a shadow. But if we start broadening that, then essentially I would be ignoring the law in a way that I think would be very difficult to defend legally. So that's not an option. And I do get a little worried that advocates of immigration reform start losing heart and immediately thinking, well, somehow there's an out here. If Congress doesn't act, we'll just have the president sign something and that'll take care of it. We won't have to worry about it.
Wow, look at that guy. Yes, you call it separating families. I call it enforcing the law as it's written. Don't make me the bad guy. But here's the real kicker. Bill Clinton, all the way back in the 90s, he was a deporter in chief too. In fact, he started a new deportation program that doubled the amount of deportations the previous Republican president was doing. Anybody call him fascist? Anybody block the roads at any of his deportations? Were ICE literally Gestapo back then? Or was it the most normal thing in the world?
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
Oh, look at that. Illegal aliens entering our country in large numbers. It's disturbing. And he said everyone agrees on that. Everyone doesn't agree on that now. Team Blue, you have changed. Anyway.
The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants.
You mean jobs Americans don't want to do?
The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration is
They froze the government. They shut down the government to keep that money flowing. Anyway, continue.
moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Now, what you see right here is both sides of the aisle are standing up in this State of the Union address, and everyone agreed, yeah, we got to do some deporting. I agree. The lady that's partnering with him in Congress to get this taken care of, Barbara Jordan, black Democrat congresswoman from Houston. So the black community used to be all for this. We all used to agree, yeah, they come in here in mass numbers. It's disturbing to see. They take jobs from natives. They use taxpayer-driven services. Martin in Euless, you're on WBAP.
I just wanted to say that I think it's interesting and outrageous that the very same people who lied about police officers dying on January 6th are now the very same people who are encouraging, supporting the violence against ICE agents, the doxing, the swatting, and everything else that goes along with it. It is unbelievable what these people are doing. And the reason why people are getting hurt, as you said, is because they've been indoctrinated. They've been getting talked into doing these things. This woman did not follow the law. If you've watched the videos, she was commanded to get out of the car, and she attempted to run over this police officer. Now, all of a sudden, when we have it on videotape, when we can actually see it, and when there's actually truth behind it that a police officer got hurt, now all of a sudden it's the ICE agents who are Nazis and everything else goes along with it. It is outrageous, and if the Democrat Party had the ability to be ashamed of themselves, they ought to be.
Well, they almost gave themselves whiplash because January 6th, the Team Blue narrative, front to back, coast to coast, for the whole 24 hours of the day, was respecting police officers is paramount. Injuring police officers and not listening to their lawful commands and breaking the law is the worst thing you could possibly do. And then the next day, the Minneapolis shooting happened. And all of a sudden, ICE officers are evil again. The police officers fighting law enforcement is not only okay, they're defending the woman fighting law enforcement. It's literally their job, and now they're protesting in favor of. Yeah, you're right. The double standard is just way out there, isn't it, Martin?
Yes, sir.
Well, keep listening because of those clips that I just played you, the two from Obama and the two from Clinton. I want you to remember those coming up in the next segment and the segment after that, because I'm going to play some audio from this weekend that's going to contradict those. And these people are going to say, like, this has never been heard of before. This is so wild. This is new. This is different. I've always been like a reasonable guy in favor of law enforcement, but this is different. No, it's not. You're different. We are doing the same thing that your team was saying back in the 90s when everyone agreed on it, even in the 2000s when everyone agreed on it. And somewhere you got your mind changed and you happen to be able to just erase the part and forget that this used to be your policy preference. And I think that's what we find most frustrating. But some of the audio sound bites in the soundbite war over the weekend, you'll hear it next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, football fans, James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. Now, we got one game left in the college ranks, and you don't have to be a fan of Miami or Indiana to get all excited and turn your inside knowledge of this football game into some real money. NFL's going through the playoffs, and listen, this is where Prize Picks has the advantage over the old fuddy-duddy fantasy sports, because when I was in the old fantasy league at the end of the regular season, it was over, but the fun continues, especially if you were a Bears fan this weekend. But Texans are playing tonight, so we got our neighbors down I-45. You can go look at their players, make a roster, 2 to 6 players. You look at a statistic, you pick more or less on it. Really, you only have to be right about 2 things to win money. Watch the game, turn a little bit of money into a lot of money. And if you want to get saucy, if you want to put 6 guys on there, you could win up to 2,000 times your money. So download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use the promo code. It's the name of this station, WBAP, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. How can two people look at the same movie and have different conclusions? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And if you're just joining us, I was playing in the last segment some clips of Obama, 2 clips from Obama, 1 from Clinton in the 90s, where they were talking about how they're ramping up deportations. They're deporting twice as many guys as the guy before them, twice as many illegals as the person before him. They were bragging about deportations. They were bragging about, well, look, just because your kid's a DACA recipient doesn't mean you get exempted from deportation. I still have to enforce the laws as they're written. So he's splitting up families, all this. And he even said it's the most normal thing in the world that everyone's agreed to for the last 50 years. So now you're being told, not you, but the people who are upset about this and standing on the bridge over 75 yesterday. Now you're told this is Gestapo. This is what Nazis do. Remember, in the 90s, most normal thing in the world. Now, literally Hitler. Now, I find that frustrating. You find it frustrating. But what we need to get to the bottom of is how do two people watch the same video and come up with completely different conclusions? Well, we're both letting our biases go in there. Now, one of you is right and one of you is wrong. But both of you seem to be very sure in your conclusions. So Jack Posobiec was on with Scott Adams this weekend, and he talked about this. I've been trying to find a way to phrase this. Like, how can two people watch the same video and come away with different conclusions? And there's the psychoanalysts call this encapsulated psychosis, where you either imagine things that aren't there or you pretend to not see things that are there. But here's like a quick 1 minute sort of breakdown.
I think one of the most lasting things that you've taught so many of us, myself obviously included, is the one story, 2 movies phenomenon, because that's what we're seeing play out across the entire country right now with this Minneapolis situation. And it almost doesn't matter how many times we go full Zapruder with this Minneapolis video. It's we frame by frame, and look, and you can see the tire, and they just don't see it. And then the mayor will go up and say, she was just trying to get away. That's all it was. And it doesn't matter. 3-minute video, and she's sitting there, she's dancing, she's honking the horn, she's excited, she's so happy. But and I guess, Scott, that was my question for you almost, is do you think that some of the people looking at this stuff, they know about that evidence and they just sort of block it out? Or is it more of this emotional barrier where they say it just sort of doesn't matter?
All right, so let me go back to the other big story coming out of Minneapolis right now with all the Somali fraud. There's a guy named Davy Jacks online. He's just some guy on Instagram. And he put a microphone in front of these ICE protesters in Minneapolis, and he asked them about the Somali fraud. Now, you may not be surprised by this, but we need to sort of exercise our brain and understand that there's 2 movies being seen on the same screen right now.
How do you feel about the Somali fraud in Minneapolis?
I'll be honest, I haven't researched it a lot, but from what it looks like to me is it looks like it's a made-up concept from people trying to smear Governor Walz.
I checked into that a little bit, right? There's nothing going on there. There's like this edgelord going around stirring up his mega conservative base, but none of this stuff is rooted in truth and reality. And I think if you just go out, do your own research, like actually do that, like go out and just like look at video evidence, come to a realistic opinion about what's going on in the world. It's a scapegoat, right, for anti-Somali immigration hate.
I don't know much about the Somali fraud. Sounds like.
So there's a question as to whether it is a fraud. I don't know. I'm not following that real closely. So I will reserve judgment on that.
I mean, I think that they were just using this as an excuse to go in there and scare people and show that they can be really powerful. I don't think it's authentic at all.
Have you ever had one friend in your entire life, like before 2025, before all these stories came out, even mention Somalis? Like in America, it's like been such a non-factor. Like there's been Ilhan Omar, and I can't name a second one. No one, especially not the society as a whole, is interested in this story just so we can run down the Somali community. We're just as indifferent to their community as we are to every other group, local, native, or imported. But how can anybody watch the Nick Shirley video and be like, oh, that looks bad? There might be something there. Now, even if you wanted to be the most strident team blue person. If you were honest, you'd have to say that at least looks bad. I can see why people would think that there's nothing going on there. But it would be real easy to disprove it. All you got to do is go back or go there now. Go do it right now. What is it? Monday? Just go to those same 30 places and tell me if they're all teaming with kids. Don't give them any heads up. Don't give them any advance notice. But people can watch that Nick Shirley video and come to drastically different conclusions. Half the country says, wow, we're being ripped off. And it's so blatant. It's amazing no one's doing anything about it. It almost looks like it's on purpose. The other side say, nothing wrong here. No gray area, but nothing wrong here. Oh, it's just an agitator. It's just a racist. Yeah, just racist. That's all. It's the only reason you would want to deport people or investigate fraud. Just racist. Really? Was Obama racist when he did it? Was Bill Clinton racist when he did it? So you got to go to the Golden Globes. I know you didn't watch it. I didn't watch it either. But you hear Mark Ruffalo. This went viral. It's only about a minute or so. But the problem is for all the people who don't keep up with the news, for all the people who, and you got to admit, less than 5% of the country has actually sat down and watched all 42 minutes of the Nick Shirley video. Most people hadn't watched all 3 minutes of the Renee Good video either. So most people out there are low information voters who don't do nearly as much research as you do. And I know that because you're listening to talk radio on a Monday afternoon. This is what influences their vote. You'll hear Mark Ruffalo walking in on the red carpet at the Golden Globes next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I know you didn't watch the Golden Globes. I didn't watch it either. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, your home for Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins. But Mark Ruffalo said something walking in on the red carpet that went viral. And this is important to talk about because you're informed, I'm informed, everybody in the room's informed. But a big chunk of the voters out there, a big chunk of the people that were holding signs over 75 on that bridge over 75 protesting ICE in Dallas yesterday, they're not as informed as you. They have very little clue what's going on, and they are influenced by people like Mark Ruffalo. This is the only news that they get. Now, let me go ahead and say I'm a fan of Mark Ruffalo and his work. His politics are terrible, but he's a great actor. I've enjoyed a lot of his stuff. But here he is. It's just about a minute.
Mark, what's the pin?
For Renee Nicole Good, who was murdered. We have a vice president who's lying about what's happening. We have we're in the middle of a war with Venezuela that we illegally invaded. He's telling the world that international law doesn't matter to him. The only thing that matters to him is his own morality. But the guy is a convicted felon or convicted rapist. He's a pedophile. He's the worst human being. If we're relying on this guy's morality for the most powerful country in the world, then we're all in a lot of trouble. So this is for her. This is for the people in the United States who are terrorized and scared today. I know I'm one of them. I love this country, and what I'm seeing here happening is not America. It's not.
Mark, why do you feel that this platform is still useful to spread a message like this?
Listen, I want to pretend like this is, I want to be here to celebrate, and I am here to celebrate, and I'm proud to have a Golden Globe nomination. But also, this is not normal anymore. And so I don't know how I could be quiet, and I'm feeling a little sick, so it's hard to BS right now. So
yeah, let's go back to that one. What was that one part? Like, this has never happened in America. This isn't America.
Buddy, for the most powerful country in the world, then we're all in a lot of trouble. So this is for her. This is for the people in the United States who are terrorized and scared today. I know I'm one of them. I love this country, and what I'm seeing here happening is not America.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there it is. What is happening here, what he's seeing now is not America. What is it America when Barack Obama deported 5 million people? Was it America when Bill Clinton doubled the amount of deportations from the previous guy and said, oh, we're going to keep ramping it up and we're going to fund even more, and yes, we're going to separate families, and yes? Was that America then? Because Barack Obama also said, you know what, this was the most, everyone agrees, for the last 50 years.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
Every single Republican president, every single Democrat president for the last half century. That's what the guy 2 presidents ago said. But now, oh, this isn't America. This is why we're all scared. Did you hear his voice trembling? You're not scared. You're the Incredible Hulk. What are you? No, I'm just kidding. But you're not scared. You have no threats on your life. You live a life of comfort and ease and safety that was unimaginable to kings up until 100 years ago. You're not scared. There's no roving bands of people in MAGA hats committing crimes. There's no roving bands of Trump supporters that are blocking highways as we speak. They don't set things on fire. They don't loot buildings. They don't firebomb Tesla dealerships. No, you're in the safe crowd because we're the civilized group. You have nothing to be scared of. Unless you're actively going to where law enforcement officers are trying to enforce the law in an active raid, maybe then you should be a little concerned for your safety. But that is, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of par for the course. We kind of expect it, but it's still kind of shocking to hear. Because now the takeaway is always, yeah, ooh, Team Red, that's so evil. No matter what the situation is, no matter, even if it was something that you were doing 20 years ago and 30 years ago, and y'all all agreed this is what everyone did, going back at least half a century. Now it's like, I don't even recognize America with deportations. Stop it, Mark. It's embarrassing, but it's also influential. All right, hey, coming up, we're doing the Parker Pour this Thursday. Yeah, buddy, we are going to go to the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. And I'm going to do a live show to begin with. And then I'm going to hang out for a couple hours after that for a little bit of a happy hour time. Because they're not going to let me drink during the show. So if I'm going to get any actual pouring done, it's going to have to be afterwards. So come hang out. We'll have a drink. You'll get to meet me, judge me based on my appearance. It's at a nice, safe place downtown where you don't have to be scared. Someone's going to enforce the law as it's written. It's so scary to enforce the law. No, it'll be fine. We're going to have a good time. And the place is called Whiskey and Rye. That's the bar downstairs from the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. And if you don't know where it's at, across the street from the Fort Worth Convention Center. If you still don't know, ask your phone. Your phone knows. Now, we plan on doing this once a month for the foreseeable future. And I think we've all nailed down the third Thursday of the month. So this will be the first one coming up in just, 3 days from now. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I've got some updates on the other fun Minneapolis story when it comes to the Somali fraud next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. You really have no idea how bad the Somali fraud was in Minnesota, and you're about to find out. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Now, the reason why the Nick Shirley video has been seen by more people than saw the Super Bowl, and it happened within a matter of a couple days, isn't the fact that he was showing you that the government was being defrauded or the scale was big. We're used to that. We know hundreds of billions of dollars probably every year gets defrauded out of the government. That's the price you pay if you're going to have social programs. Even and I don't like social programs, but even for the most of the country that does, you understand that no program is going to be perfect, and just because there's going to be a few little criminal masterminds that can figure out how to sneak away a few dollars under the noses of the government watchdogs doesn't mean we should take that away from everybody else. Well, what if it's not just a few criminal masterminds that are sneaking away some money cleverly under the noses of the federal watchdogs? What if it's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people? And what if they're stealing hundreds of billions, if not, cumulatively over the years, easily trillions of dollars? And what if the noses of the government watchdogs aren't that hard to sneak under? What if they don't even have noses? What if they're not even watching? So with that, there's a viral video that I pulled aside for you. I saw it yesterday. Her name is Savannah Hernandez. This is her reporting. All she did is she's just a regular old Joe, just like Nick and Dave, just like me and you. And she saw the story of, hey, well, the feds say that they're ramping up the investigations into the Somali home healthcare industry. And so she wanted to see, like, is it that easy to bust them? As easy as it was for Nick Shirley to bust the daycares and autism centers and whatever, things like that? Yeah, it's pretty bad.
This is how little these people care about anybody ever coming after them. Now, to give you guys an idea of how Scooby-Doo-esque this nonsense is, let me highlight for you as well what these home care sites look like, because again, this is one of 14 types of fraud. So this is the Grace Care Center LLC in Minnesota. All right, this is their webpage. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but if you read through it, it says lorem ipsum dolor sit amet. So this is basically the placeholder when you download a website template and you're supposed to rewrite on the template your information. This is how little these people care about anybody ever coming after them. This is how bold and confident they've been in their fraud that they just would download a website template and then be like, we get $1 million now? Thank you. And the government was like, of course, of course.
Yes, take the money. Just here's a bag of money. Just take it. Just take it. Now we don't have to look at your website. We don't have to look at the paperwork. We don't have to see if there's any cars in the parking lot, any employees, any kids, any of that. Just take the money. They're just taking money from you and giving it out that easy. Do you understand what she was doing there with the lorem ipsum? You ever seen that before? So if you make a website and you want a template, they'll fill it out for you with text and whatnot, but they don't know what you want in there. So they just fill in like some Latin phrase that starts with lorem ipsum, something or other, like your real text goes here. I don't know what it actually means. It just looks Latin, and I've made assumptions going forward. And it's something that pretty much since the late 90s, we've all been aware of, that they stick in this random Latin phrase in order to fill up the text on a template. And these people were just downloading templates, not even fixing them up, not even filling them in, submitting them, and still getting millions of your tax dollars. So that should make the gut punch just a little bit worse. Not only are they taking money from you and giving it to these fraudsters, they're not even trying to keep it from going into the hands of fraudsters. They can't give away your money to fraudsters fast enough. And remember when all the people were decrying Elon Musk going in with Doge, trying to find some fraud, waste, abuse, whatever you want to call it, in government programs? This is terrible. This is going to kill children. You know what? When you're looking for fraud and someone screams stop, that's who's doing the fraud, right? No one in their right mind should say, no, don't investigate fraud. Leave it in there. Now, why would they be so careless? Number one, it's not their money. It's your money. Pfft, screw you. Number two, they're getting a lot of that money on kickbacks. And number three, they're getting a lot of those votes on kickbacks. And that's all that matters. You have a power base of 80,000, 100,000 people who are a little, morally flexible, and they're willing to drain billions out of the taxpayer coffers just so you can get millions of it. There are some people who think that's a good deal. I know you wouldn't do that. I know you're a decent human being, but think like a politician, think like a grifter, think like a sociopath. For them, it's like you're an idiot not to take advantage of this. This is brilliant. Luckily, we have this fraud here, and we can import these morally flexible people so I can make a fiefdom of power from whence I will never be knocked. So yeah, it is that bad. They just had templates for websites, and it wasn't hidden. You didn't have to have a password to go in there. You didn't have to be a client. You didn't have to know any special computer science skills. Savannah, typed in the address in a search browser and it came up. That's it. That's all. You mean to tell me the federal government doesn't have the investigative capabilities of Savannah Hernandez? Really? So, jeepers, we're trying to keep your tax money from being defrauded, but if they have complex tools to get around our security protocols, like, I don't know, an internet browser, they weren't even trying. They're still not even trying. And I don't want to hear from anybody else when I say we need to get rid of all social programs. Well, Parker, what are we going to do? How are we going to afford it? Dude, I don't want to hear it. I'm way past that now. It's like being called racist. I'm past that. Doesn't mean anything now. Children are going to die. No, they're not. We already know they're not. We already know you'll say anything. You're not even trying to find fraud. You're not even trying to stop anybody. You're encouraging it. You're celebrating it. You go to their festivals and dance with them. You have fundraisers at the restaurants that are defrauding the taxpayers. No one's gone to jail yet, by the way. Isn't that a weird one? And when I say no one, I mean big. No one that you've heard of. No politician. Sure, every once in a while, they'll have to sweep some of the people on the ground, on the front lines, into jail. The 59 people that have already been convicted. But Jacob Fry, you mean to tell me that he's that bad at oversight of taxpayer dollars, Tim Walz? Anybody in D.C. would be nice. No, the powers that be, they need to start going to jail. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a lady from the Heritage Foundation about what's going on with the economy, because it seems to be going pretty good. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, my guest got delayed, so we'll do Jasmine Crockett this segment. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, on your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And I don't think they had this today because this is more of a Texas setup right here, because Jasmine Crockett is running for right now the primary to be your Democrat candidate for Senate in the state of Texas. And voting is just, 6 weeks away? It's not that long away, but March 6th. I don't know. I should know this. I'll know it when it gets closer, but it's like the first week of March. So she's hitting the campaign trail, and she hits San Antonio this weekend and then put up this video herself. So this isn't something I selectively edited to make her look bad. This is what she put up.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Peach blonde, bad built butch body. Governor Hot Wheels. And he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Parker Pour at the Omni Fort Worth Hotel, coming up this Thursday. Live broadcast 2 to 5, happy hour 5 to 7. Come on out and have a good time. Jasmine Crockett in San Antonio. Sorry about the bad audio. It's her microphone too.
I am not sleeping because this is life or death.
Stop.
We have people that are...
She's talking about the ICE thing. This is life or death. It's not life or... Stop gassing these people up. They keep shooting at our ICE agents or blocking their cars or shooting them in Dallas or shooting them in Alvarado or shooting them in McAllen. They shot Charlie Kirk. They shot Donald Trump. Stop with the life or death stuff. Anyway, it really, I try and be fun and lighthearted, but that bears repeating, seeing as how the attacks keep coming.
I am not sleeping because this is life or death. We have people that are dying in this country, and it is a direct result of this administration and those that are standing by idly watching. How many times has someone asked you, how is it that he can do this? Can he do this? How many times have you heard it? Y'all ain't heard it? Oh, okay. It's because people are cowards. It's because they forgot that they swore an oath to the Constitution and not to an individual.
Man, where were all these constitutionalists during COVID? Yeah, I think these constitutional purists. How dare you violate someone's constitutional rights? Well, what if I want to go to my grandmother's funeral while there's a George Floyd protest? Well, they can protest, but you can't go see your funeral, your grandma. Life or death. They are just running headlong into this. So either they don't care how reckless their verbiage excites people to do dangerous things, or they want it. But there's no way they can't know. There's no way any rational person would look at what happened, and it doesn't even matter whose side you're on, if you're on Team Blue or Team Red. We should all be able to look at the good video. And even if we come to different conclusions about whether or not it's murder, we should say, hey, maybe we should discourage people from interfering with law enforcement while they're in the middle of a raid. And if that doesn't get brought up ever, then they are not concerned about the well-being of the protesters. They're concerned with how well this plays politically. And now you're getting into some weird sociopathic territory here, because you got to think, if this is good for business, and what happens if they get more people to sacrifice their lives, to be just cannon fodder, sacrificed at the altar of Team Blue narrative? I know it's hard for you to hold this thought in your head, but there's a lot of people out there who see more violence, more chaos as their vehicle to get ahead, and that doesn't bother them at all. They don't care if people get hurt or died. And I'm not saying the average Team Blue or Team Red voter, but there's legit sociopaths out there. There's legit psychopaths out there. They definitely believe it. And then there's this weird gray area that we've started developing here, that they weren't born sociopaths or psychopaths, but you keep telling them these evil guys on the other side of the fence are bloodthirsty, racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, Nazi people who hate you and want to genocide you and oppress you and grind you underfoot for sport. At some point, even a rational person would be prone to violence in a situation like that. So no, they're not tapping the brakes on any of that at all. Because remember, that doesn't come in the vacuum. I know you weren't here in the first segment, so I'll play it again. Let's go back to the very first reporting on this shooting. I go to a local station, Channel 5 in Iowa. She's a poet, a mother.
37-year-old Renee Nicole Macklin Good was a U.S. citizen born in Colorado and a mother of 3. In social media accounts, she described herself as a poet, writer, wife, and mom. Hours after the shooting, hundreds gathered for a protest and vigil nearby. Trump administration officials painted Macklin Good as a domestic terrorist who had attempted to ram federal officials with her vehicle.
They're driving people crazy. This would drive, if you believe this, it would make you a crazy person. If you believe, remember, there's a lot of people who watch TV and they're like, oh, I'll believe all that. God, that's terrible. I can't believe they did that. She was a poet. I mean, what kind of terrible reporting is that? How many people are actually poets in America? 4? There's almost a 0% chance. If you were to it's a rounding error, the likelihood that she's actually a poet for a living. So why did they describe her as such? Well, this is something glowing we found on Facebook that we can pass along like it's the gospel truth. Don't you think the more important aspect of her life and her hobbies, if not her career, was the fact that, I don't know, she liked to harass ICE? She was part of activist groups that talked about harassing ICE and interrupting their flow and bothering them and harassing them on raids. That doesn't get a mention. So that's terrible. On one hand, you have Jasmine Crockett telling them racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes on the other side of the fence. On this side of the fence, what do you have? Not an activist who kept harassing, who kept FAing so long, she finally FO'd. Does everyone get that one? You get that one, Garrett? FAFO? Yeah. So she FA'd just over and over. How long has she been following these guys? Is this the first ICE raid that she interrupted? Is this the second? Is this the first day she did it? Were they at another location earlier that day and she was there? Were they at another location yesterday and she was there? You know, they talked about, hey, you know, we don't change our plates every day. Well, how often do you encounter these people? Oh, you must know that they change their plates. Wow, how long have you been doing this? How many of these raids have you been to? Because if all of America got to hear the real story, they would lose sympathy for the woman. And you wouldn't necessarily change your mind, but you could admit a little gray area. But when you start stacking it up, she's an activist, has been following these guys around. What if she'd been following them around for months? And so what does she do? She keeps getting a little bit braver and braver every time, because the last time she pulled up and blocked the road and they came to her, when they pulled on the handle, she drove off and got away scot-free. I got to break the law and get away with it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. So did she just do this over and over and over and over until it wound up bad for her? We need to know this. But only if you want to prevent future incidents from happening. If you want more violence and tragedies like this, because her death still is a tragedy. Just because you feel less sympathetic for it. Yeah, she's a mom. There's 3 kids that lost their mother. That's terrible. This shouldn't have happened. She shouldn't have been encouraged to do this. They shouldn't have been telling her that this has never happened before. This just isn't our country, Mark Ruffalo. This is in our country. But Barack Obama was doing it at a faster clip, saying this is what everyone's agreed on for the last half century. Was everybody here for that soundbite, or do I need to play it again? Here, I'll play it again real quick. Just the second half of this.
Only lawful. They're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
So she hadn't been doing this her whole life. She wasn't blocking ICE when they were doing their job against Obama, deporting 5 million people. She was trained. She was brainwashed. She was propagandized into thinking that this is the right thing to do. This is heroic to fight Nazis. And it cost her life. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, well, what is going on with classes being canceled in North Texas from bomb threats? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So Iran is erupting in protest, and now we're getting some here. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, here in America. How can you be silent? Was a popular viral video being passed around. This is a protester here in America, and I guess he's not really protesting. Would this be like a supportive rally?
I used to be a Democrat. I stood for you guys because you promised us liberty, justice, diversity. This is not diversity. You are your silence is complicit. Democrats, wake down up. This is not okay. Iranian people right now, they're in prison. They're in complete digital blackout. How can you be silent?
So there we are. That's the American side of the story. And, you know, Iran, I mean, I hope it falls, but I always have this duality on regime change where people say, well, it can't get worse than the Ayatollahs. Yeah, it can, actually. And we've seen that happen many times, plenty of times. I mean, for the worst countries in the world, that's pretty much the scenario. Think about it like this. Whoever was before Fidel Castro when he had the revolution in 1959, I know his name's General Batista, but most people don't know that. Was he worse than Fidel Castro? No, he was a bad guy, but we all celebrated when that guy got knocked over. I know you weren't alive. Just stick with me, damn it. And it got worse. Things got worse. Whoever was running Libya before Gaddafi, were they better or worse? Whoever was running Afghanistan before the Taliban, you know, besides us, the Taliban the first time, they were pretty bad guys. When the Soviet Union was invading Afghanistan, we supported the Taliban. We're like, where's those fun guys that you guys always play with? What were they? Al-Qaeda? Yeah, great group of guys. Let's give them a bunch of guns and missiles. What could possibly go wrong? So we've come to regret many of our overseas excursions. Not all of them. Iraq seemed to turn out better. South Korea is definitely better than if we hadn't intervened. Panama, that seemed to turn out okay. So it's kind of a hit or miss thing. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but it really is hard to imagine anyone worse than the Ayatollahs being in charge in Iran. And that country is probably number one on my list for the biggest disconnect on how we feel about the people of Iran and the government of Iran. Iran, one of the worst governments in the world. It's a theocratic socialism. They have price controls. They have universal free, all kinds of stuff. They have all kinds of the programs that Mom Donnie's asking for right now. But on top of that, they're a theocracy. So you kind of get the worst of both worlds, worst of the social worlds and, you know, cultural worlds, and worst of the economic worlds. But, you know, they're sneaking some pictures out, some videos out. And some of them, they're like, look, this is a mosque on fire. It's like, what? A mosque on fire? Are they rebelling against the religion? That means something different where I'm from. So more to be had on that. This is Jim in Allen. If you want to be after Jim, 800-288-9227. Hey, Jim.
Yeah, I just want to back up to the Minnesota so-called protesters. I wonder why they are not being charged as insurrectionists, because they're interfering with legal operations like that, and they oppose the law itself. You know, and that needs to be stopped. I mean, if they want to do something about it, it should be done in the legislature or in courts, not out on the streets. And I think they need to be treated exactly the same way that the January 6th so-called insurrections. This time, they're just guilty as charged, because it's just painfully obvious that they're doing things, you know, in violation of laws and against the due process of the United States of America.
Well, I don't want to misuse the term insurrection just because they misused it against January 6ers. But that what they're doing is without a doubt illegal. You're not supposed to. There's statutes on the books that say you can't interfere with the law enforcement while they're executing their duties. You can't just go up and stop them and block them when they're making an arrest. So I think along your train of thought, what we should really be asking for here, Jim and Alan, is that these ladies, if they have been harassing these ICE officers for a long time, this wasn't the first little 3-minute cut we've seen with them. They should have been arrested long ago, and they shouldn't be allowed to get away with it as much as they got away with. If they've done what we saw on that video over and over and over, obviously without getting shot, I think we're going too light on them. All we have to do is enforce the law as we see fit. Because just like they're having all kinds of crazy protests in Minneapolis this weekend, they tried to have them in Austin, and we shut that down. We didn't let them block streets. Why? It's illegal. So what are you going to do? You're going to arrest assault? We'll arrest as many as we can. And so, yeah, I love that idea, Jim. And I think a lot of people see that. Either all protesters need to get the J6 treatment or none of them do. But really,
Well, I'm ready to go, Buck, for it. Because they're not going to learn any lesson until they get treated the same way that they dished it out to other people. They have no right to do that to the January 6th people.
well, we're not going to shoot their presidential candidate. We're not going to firebomb their friends' auto dealerships. We're not going to shoot their thought leaders in the neck. But no, I get your point. We'll treat them not even half as bad as they treat us, and that'll teach them their lesson.
Well, I'm talking from a legal standpoint. To charge them with insurrection,
Okay,
leave them
yeah.
for 4 years in the kind of conditions that they left our people in, and let them learn, hey, we're not putting up with it anymore. You've had it, and we're going to take the law and use it in the way it should have been done, and you will find out what it's like when the truth comes out.
We all love that, Jim and Alan. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it, sir. All right, coming up next, my guest from the Heritage Foundation. We're going to talk about the economy because it's pretty good news, and you're not going to hear it elsewhere. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Sometimes you just need a change. James Parker here for RhinoShieldDFW.com. I think you notice that if you have a house, when you buy it and you love it, it can be the exact same house. But after 5 to 10 years, just because you had to look at it, you just want something to change, right? Well, how about you don't just make a change, you make an improvement. Instead of repainting your house so it's that other color that matches the other things that you think would look good, or I don't know what the master plan is here. But I know Rhino Shield does a lot of things paint can't. It lowers your energy costs. That's 6.9 R factor. It blocks 90% of UV sun rays. It's water resistant. It's 8 to 10 times thicker than paint. And it expands when your house expands in the summer, and it contracts when your house cools in the winter. That's why you're going to come back in 10 years and it's still going to look sharp. You're going to come back in 20 years. You're not going to see any cracking, flaking, or peeling. Plus, even if you're not going to stay there the rest of your life, it increases the resale value and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. You can get it split up into payments, and you get 20% off if you mention the James Show. Can I do anything else for you? I can't go to the website for you. You're going to have to do that yourself. Go to RhinoShieldDFW.com. Well, if you're not hearing anything about the economy, it must be doing pretty good. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. My current guest from the Heritage Foundation, Diana Furtgott-Rott. Welcome back to the James Show, and let's discuss how it's looking now, and then the forecast for 2026, because I saw Elizabeth Warren said earlier today that President Trump is starting to sweat over the economy. What do you think about that, Diana? So if I want to try and look at headwinds in the economy, number one, tariffs, but I guess that could get sorted out any day now with a couple of deals being signed. The other one is inflation, and then thus the underlying concern I have is from the deficit, the annual deficit, which neither party seems to be very serious about, which I imagine inflation is going to continue to burn. 2.7 now? I mean, that's hotter than I want. It's Yeah, well, I like some of the tax changes. I like the deregulation, but what do you say to someone like me who's concerned about tariffs and inflation? Yeah, and I think they've about regulated themselves out of being anywhere near the AI hunt. This seems to be something that's going on with East Asia and America, and Europe's just a non-starter. And there's a whole new era of technology because they're so picky about their regulations. Yeah, I remember that. All right. Well, good stuff from the Heritage Foundation. Diana Fertgott-Roth, thank you very much for being on the James Show, talking a little economy with us. Yeah, you have to force yourself into the economic discussion because if it disappears from the headlines, that means it's probably good news. All right, reminder, coming up Thursday, the first Parker Pour. We're going to make this a monthly event, but I'm not going to tell you the next date, but this Thursday will be the first one. Omni Fort Worth Hotel. Downstairs is a bar called Whiskey and Ride. That's where I'm going to be doing the show live from 2 to 5. And then me and you can hang out from 5 to 7 and have a little happy hour action there. Come out, say hi, meet me, get a selfie. More importantly, meet other WBAP listeners like yourself. You know, it's nice to find like-minded friends and people in your peer group, and being social has gotten so awkward now that everyone's trying to hook up with apps and whatnot. But I don't know, maybe we can make a love connection. Who was that when we were playing the game on Friday? There was a couple people we were trying to get to hook up at the Parker Pour. It's not a meat market, but I wouldn't be upset if it became one. So come on out. I'll be there from 2 to 7 total. I'll probably be there a little bit past 7, but come on out, say hi. I'd love to meet you. Come see the show live. There's not a whole lot of jazz. I'm not going to be wearing like a sequins leotard or anything. It's just going to be me and some guy named Garrett. All right, coming up on the James Show, Frisco had their classes canceled today. We had 14 schools cancel classes last week. We had another school with the bomb threat. All this seems to be related. Who's behind it? I'll let you know what Dallas Express thinks coming up. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, Minnesota is suing ICE. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. I saw the caption when I was doing the last segment. Keith Ellison goes up behind some podium, and they're in Minnesota. And the caption says, now, Minnesota leaders announce DHS lawsuit. So I listened to it on the break. You've got to hear this. Racist. Hang on, stop a second. Can you just hit pause? Oh, man. It's really bold. Like, I'm impressed that he's trying to shoehorn race into the story about a white chick being shot by a white dude. That's impressive. Anyway, continue. Thank you. Can we hit pause real quick? Yeah, so sowing chaos across the streets and schools and whatever, enforcing the law is called sowing chaos. When they do raids, when they deport thousands of people, that's sowing chaos. Was it sowing chaos when Obama did it? Was it sowing chaos when Bill Clinton did it? Let's go back in time here. We'll jump in the time machine. Let's go back to 2012. Not only did Obama do it and celebrate, it was the most normal thing in the world for 50
If
years.
you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
Yeah, it's the most normal thing in the world for over 50 years. And that was 14 years ago, because it's 2026. We're so old. So yeah, add another 14 to that. So for at least the last 64 years, according to Barack Obama, it's the most normal thing in the world for federal agents to come into your town and arrest illegal immigrants and send them from whence they came. In fact, he wasn't the only one that said that. The last Democrat president before him said that too.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring.
All right, so would you dare call that a surge, Hefe? He's doubled the number of agents or doubled the deportations? Is that racist, Keith? Or is that only racist when the other team does it? That's interesting. Can we continue with Keith Ellison? They didn't have to. Hang on, pause that. Then that's not a safety issue. That's an evading law enforcement issue. You didn't have to close down your schools because the kids were going to get hurt if I showed up. You had to close down your schools because kids weren't coming because you have so damn many illegals they didn't want to get caught. You closed down schools to help them evade the law. All right, that's fun stuff. You know what? I'm going to have a lawyer on probably tomorrow to talk about that because Keith Ellison, you know, he's the attorney general for the state of Minnesota. He's gotten a lot of money from Somali sources. He's in a lot of hot water over his lack of oversight there. He's the guy that's supposed to be finding the fraud in the Somali community in Minneapolis. Not Nick, not some 23-year-old dude with an iPhone named Nick. He ran circles around you, sir. He embarrassed you. Then you had this accident happen last week in your jurisdiction. Now all of a sudden we're supposed to take you serious? Oh, yeah, you got to sue them. We got to sue them. What are they doing? They're enforcing the law. Boy, that seems like a big Stretch Armstrong stretch right there. Ken Weatherford, you're on WBAP.
Yes, sir. They just continue to deflect from what they started to begin with back during Obama and then Biden administration. 25 million people, at least, illegals come into this country, and now they're going to say, and what they did 10 years ago was to say, well, they changed it from civil rights to human rights, and there was a word switch where everybody's got these human rights, and the human rights are equivalent to civil rights in the United States.
Yeah. I get you. I'm following. Go ahead.
They're doing. It's unbelievable.
No, I feel you on that. And you know what? There was another word switch that I was thinking about talking about today. Kind of cool you brought it up. Is how they switched the term racist for white supremacy. This is Kristen Constantine. Check this one out.
We had Lionel Shriver on my YouTube show called Trigonometry recently. And one of the points that she made is the word racist has been used so much and so inappropriately. That is why we now use terms like white supremacist. Because being a racist is no longer enough. You have to take it up a notch.
Right.
And that's why the word of white supremacy has come back.
It's absolutely right. You're right. They did the same thing over there. Thank you very much, Lynn. Let's do... Oh, no, we're out of time. All right. Well, I got a guest coming up in the next segment, and we're going to get you updated on what's going on with Iran and kind of Venezuela. But this is my foreign affairs analyst, David Hamilton's next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, along with my foreign affairs analyst, David Hamilton's back on. National Security and Economic Center at UNT is his home base. And first, let's talk about Iran. It got a lot of attention on the news for protests that are happening now. What set these protests off, David? So that's the end of their economy right there. Inflation killed them. Yeah, I mean, you could say somewhat centrally planned. They have very centrally planned from, I was digging into their economics because I know too much about their social stuff. But yeah, they have price controls and universal whatever programs. So yeah, they were following what maybe probably the second worst formation of statecraft on planet Earth right now. This ugly mutation between socialism and theocracy. Only North Korea does worse with theocracy and communism. But yeah. Yeah, give them that. So what we've seen Iran erupt in protests before. Nothing really came up of it. Is something different this time that gives you more optimism? Uh-huh. That's a lot. So if the Ayatollahs get knocked out of power, what replaces them? All right, David Hamilton. As far as foreign affairs goes on, I also wanted to ask you about Venezuela. How are we doing over there? What even is the interim government right now? All right, David Hamilton, there was a viral account. Supposedly, one of the soldiers on the Venezuelan side did an interview, and he talked about how the American attack, it was only about 20 guys that got dropped off, but they ended up killing hundreds of the defenders. They used some sort of sonic weapon. Everyone's nose started bleeding. It felt like you were on fire. They couldn't do anything. And they was like, we've never seen anything like this. They just came in. It was 20 of them. They whipped the snot out of us and left. And tell me more about that. Is that a legit? Did you see that interview? And is it legit? Well, David, let's mesh these two stories together. Are the Ayatollahs thinking, well, maybe I'm the next guy to get whipped out in a helicopter? The border being the coast? Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, good talk. Are you going to come out on Thursday to the Park Report? Just want to put you on the spot in front of everybody. Yeah, so Thursday we're gonna have the Park Report at the Omni Fort Worth Hotel Bar. It's called Whiskey and Rye. I'll do a live show from 2 to 5. I know you're probably teaching a class or something, but then I'll hang out afterwards from 5 to 7, and it'll be a good time. Oh, fantastic. All right, that's David Hamilton, National Security and Economic Center at UNT, and our foreign affairs guru on the James Show. Coming up next, dead or alive, but I have to give away tickets to see Train. So if you like Train, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, welcome. You're just in time for Dead or Alive. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Now, Dead or Alive is the game show you're about to hear right now. It's the easier of the game shows on the James Show. I'm going to give you a list of 10 celebrities. You have to tell me if they're dead or alive. It's that easy. And we're playing for a pair of tickets. And really, I don't want to give these tickets away. You're fine if you like Train. People are allowed to like bands I don't like. But you would have to pay me a lot of money to go to this show. And after all the complaints, and it's not that Train's a bad band. They actually make okay music. It's just you don't have like a nano milliliter of estrogen anywhere. I mean, of testosterone anywhere in their songs. And it just gets played way too much. Why are they in movies? Why are they in commercials? They're not that good. And then it was a big beating. I had to go to like some festival with Miss Parker back in the day, and it was like a Mardi Gras thing, and the headliner was Train.
I'm Miss Parker.
So if you've ever gone to a Train concert against your will, you would give me a little bit of grace here. But now, enough of the setup. Let's play Dead or Alive. All right, thank you, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to Dead or Alive. Today at stake, 2 tickets to see Train. They will be at Dos Equis Pavilion, August 15th, 2026. For more information, if you want to go ahead and buy tickets, I don't know why you would, but you would go to livenation.com. If you want to go ahead and play right now, you might want to get in line, 800-288-9227, because you don't have to know all 10. You just have to be the guy that's on the phone when the game is over. And in fact, it's quite often people win without getting any of them right. So 800-288-9227. Today's category, I'm proud of this one, gay. In honor of Train, today's category is gay. I'm going to tell you 10 gay celebrities. You tell me if they're dead or alive. We're going to start with who sounds the gayest over here? Bill? All right, Bill, you ready?
Yeah, thanks. I'm ready.
Do you really like Train, or are you just doing this for your wife?
The second one.
You're a good man. That's a real sacrifice. All right, number 1, Elton John. We all like him. Dead or alive?
Alive.
Yes, sir. Number 2, Freddie Mercury from Queen. Dead or alive?
Dead.
Yeah, you've been dead. Sally Ride, the NASA astronaut, also gay. Dead or alive?
Alive.
No. Sally Ride passed away, sir. You need to brush up on your gay history and call me back, okay, Bill? Thank you, sir. You did all that for nothing. Barbara in Dallas. You're allowed to like
Hi there.
Train. Are you ready?
Thank you for allowing me to like Train.
You don't need my permission. I just don't find it suspicious is what I should say. Ellen DeGeneres, dead or alive?
Alive.
She's alive. A lot of people say she's a big B word. I've met people who grew up with her in both Texas and Metairie, and they've all said she's nice, so I don't know where those rumors come from. Langston Hughes, the poet Langston Hughes, dead or alive?
Dead.
Ooh, that was a guess, and you got it right. All right, Barbara in Dallas. Sir Ian McKellen. He was Merlin in all those Lord of the Ring movies and probably other stuff. Dead or alive?
Alive.
86 years old. That was a tough one. Most people know him as Sheldon. The actor's name is Jim Parsons. Dead or alive?
Alive.
You're on a nice little streak here, Barbara.
Mhm.
George Michael from the funnily named, now that we know, Wham. Is he dead or alive?
Very sadly dead.
I know, he was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Boy George, believe it or not, he's also gay. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
And finally, Little Richard, who hilariously sang Tutti Frutti while he was still in the closet. Dead or alive?
He's dead.
He is dead. Barbara, well done. What'd you do, 7 in a row there to steal it from everybody else?
Oh my gosh.
Well done. So I got some train tickets coming for you. All you got to do is I'm going to put you on hold. You got to talk to one of the Garretts in there, and then we email you the tickets these days. And so go on, you got some tickets. August 15th, 2026. Thank you for playing, Barbara. You did great. She goes on hold. And for the rest of you, you got to go to livenation.com if you want to get those tickets. Yeah, and like I was telling Dave Hamilton in the last segment, if he's still listening, the Parker Pour is coming up on Thursday. I'm doing a live broadcast from the bar that's at the bottom of the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. It's called Whiskey and Rye. I haven't been there yet, but Richard sent me some pictures. It looks like a great little setup. So I'll do a live show. You can come out and see it. Judge me based on my appearance. Come out, have a drink with me. Hey, maybe we'll just be banging some shots of Goldschlager. Things might get nuts. So come on out and be a good time. I would love to finally meet you. All right, coming up next, I have some fun audio from The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Nice. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. Called in any bomb threats lately? I'm your host, James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They haven't called in any bomb threats today either. But bomb threats, whenever I see the stories about what happened last week, and it continued again until this week about the bomb threats, I just roll my eyes so hard. And there's people out there, I think we all have this problem living in first world America, that we don't have enough problems. And the human condition is built to take on problems. It's built to absorb stress. It's built to fight. It's built to fight off predators and animals and the neighboring tribe and some other guy who wants to get a hold of Miss Parker. And, you know, we went through this for 200,000 years of actually having to fight things. And now that we don't really have anything to fight, we really invent something. We invent stuff to worry about. And that's what bomb threats are. In my experience, I realize a lot of you people think I'm immature and I don't take the world serious enough. I used to take the world serious, and it proved me wrong. When I was a kid, growing up in Bug Tussle, there were a couple of years there where we had a bomb threat. It seemed once a week in school. And it was terrible when it was hot, when it was terrible weather, because we could all go out and we could all try and stand under a couple of big old oak trees next to the parking lot, but we couldn't all fit. And so you would just be out there in like direct sunlight and it's 101 degrees. And of course there's not a bomb. Even in the era of terrorism, you remember the first World Trade Center bombing was like 93 and people were hypersensitive about it. And we used to all look at each other. We knew who we were. We know where we were. We were in the middle of nowhere. We weren't even at the fifth biggest school in Bug Tussle. You think there's anyone in a cave in Afghanistan saying, you know what we need to do to take down the great Satan? Get rid of them damn bulldogs. That's what we need to do. Yeah, you know what? They made it to the playoffs 3 years in a row. They're getting out of hand. Never happened. So I think that's a little bit of what happened here. Now, Dallas Express put a little bit more fun on it because they did some digging, and the hoax is pretty stupid. It's pretty damn bad. So I tried to follow the links to actually see the video myself, but they've been taken down. Logan Washburn from Dallas Express and a friend of the show took a screenshot of it and put it on his write-up here, DallasExpress.com, and it looks so bad. There's no way anybody can take this serious. Here's what I'm looking at right now. In fact, maybe I'll just share this out for the people that are watching the video version. You got a fella here in a Jason hockey mask. Not even like the new hockey mask like Ottinger's wearing, but like the old one, like Jason, except it's like a urine color yellow. It has written in red on it, "Please stop me." There's a smiley face. Just the mouth is drawn under the eye hole, so it kind of completes the "have a nice day" look. And then he's wearing a black jacket with, I don't know, like a windbreaker of some sort. He has long, shaggy blonde hair, just like half the boys in this world who are 18 or 17. And then he's standing in front of a Nazi flag. There's a big old dumb swastika behind him. You know, the black swastika and the white circle, red flag. Like, it's so over the top. Let me see. Please stop me. He's got the Jason mask. He's got the swastika. And so they've been posting messages on Telegram since January 6th, and officials finally saw it last week. And the first time they saw it, they thought it was just aimed at one school, and so they canceled one school, was the Oak Cliff Academy last week. And then the next day, more videos were being sent out in the meantime. They closed 14 schools at one point last week, and it turns out all clear. Over the weekend, I got this story. Actually, on Friday, I got this story from our friends at the Dallas Express saying, yeah, this was all a hoax. This is pretty transparent hoax, pretty over the top. So did everyone calm down and realize that they were getting just a little bit too hype? Or no, we had to close Frisco schools today. WFAA has the report.
Welcome to Midday this Monday. I'm Chris Sadeghi. We want to start with some breaking news. All Frisco ISD campuses are in secure status today after the district tells us multiple schools received threatening emails. A district spokesperson tells WFAA that Frisco police reviewed those emails and believe the threats are not credible, but in an abundance of caution, security is increased on all campuses with school resource officers and police conducting perimeter checks and staying on campus.
Perimeter checks? What do you think? Like some militia is going to come over the hills? The dude's wearing a hockey mask. He's standing in front of a flag. He looks like he's 17 years old. He doesn't even look like an adult. Long, shaggy hair. Yeah, if the militia that is standing athwart us in the next civil war has long, shaggy hair and a bunch of 17-year-olds in hockey masks, we're going to be okay. We can go ahead and start popping the champagne bottles now. The next revolution is looking pretty good already. All right, with something fun. This guy's name is Jamie Lissow. Not Lizzo, Lissow.
I like Elon Musk. He's a bit of a controversial figure. I like him. I like that he's trying to, his main objective would be that we could live on another planet if the Earth becomes uninhabitable. I feel like that's got to help everybody, right? That's an amazing goal that man has. In California, he used to shoot rockets off to do research and test, and California said you can no longer shoot your rockets off from here. And remember what they cited? They said it could disrupt the wildlife. They're worried that the sonic booms will disrupt the wild. Let me tell you something. I don't mean to sound uncaring or inconsiderate, but I don't think I care if every once in a while a bear is like, the f*** was that? I don't care. I do not care. We are going to Mars.
And that's not an accident. Same energy. Hey, we have a bomb threat. The correct response would be, who cares? For the tiny, minuscule percentage of a probability that it's a legit bomb threat, you know what's more important? That you idiots learn how to read and do math. That's probably more important. Maybe history, maybe a little bit of civics. Maybe you could listen to the James Show and listen to the sound bites from the 90s and 2000s on what they were saying about deportations back then. How about academics are pretty important? We don't need to interrupt it for all these sports. We don't need to interrupt it for bad weather. It's raining too hard. Oh, there's a bomb threat. No. It's got to be more than that these days. How many times is this going to work? How many times are you going to run and freak out and call the cops, and parents got to take a day off or a half day, and someone's got to go pick them up, and you're ruining people's lives every time you cut school like that. Y'all barely go like 20 weeks out of the year for a full week. Why are we cutting into this? Because some 17-year-old in a hockey mask in front of a swastika put a video on Telegram. Please tell me you have more information than this before you close down a school, because that tells me you're not taking education very serious. Oh, James, if it saves one person. No one looking like this goober has ever killed anybody. In fact, he probably doesn't even believe this. He's probably not even a Nazi. He probably just wants to see how many adults he can make dance because he's been rejected in his personal life. He's like, yeah, I'll have some fun with all these people. And y'all are falling right into the trap. But no one listens to me. We closed 14 schools last week. We closed all Frisco schools today, cut them off at a half day. Because God forbid someone treat the bomb threats as boring and unimportant as they are. Because you know how you would quit getting bomb threats? Start ignoring them. You know how you keep getting bomb threats? Have a hissy fit every time one comes in. They're doing just the opposite of common sense. All right, the James Show podcast is back up and running after a few weeks off. As soon as I get done here, I'll cut it up and put it up for you. So go check it out wherever you're already listening to podcasts. The Parker Pour is happening on Thursday. I want to meet you. Come on out, see the show live from 2 to 5. I'll hang out from 5 to 7. So I'll shake as many hands, talk to as many people as I can. I'm not going to be swamped. So don't worry about not being able to fit through the crowd. Just maybe 20, 40 people came to the last one. So I would love to meet you. Come on out. Say hi. Omni Fort Worth Hotel. I'm James Parker. Mark Levin's next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.